Welcome! Today, we are diving deep into a really fundamental concept in biology. How in the world do we make sense of the massive variety of life on Earth? We're going to break down the principles of classification and nomenclature and really focus on the key details you've got to know.
Just look at this number. That's somewhere between 1.7 and 1.8 million. And that is the estimated number of species we've actually found and described on our planet. It's a huge number, right? From the tiniest microbe to the biggest whale, it represents just a staggering amount of biodiversity.
And you know, that massive number brings us to a really big challenge. Think about it. A single plant or animal could have dozens of different local names, depending on the language or even just the village. So how can a scientist in India and a scientist in Brazil be absolutely sure they're talking about the exact same organism? That's the problem we need a solution for.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a feel for the sheer scale of life and the naming problem it creates. Then, we'll get into the brilliant solution, binomial nomenclature and its rules. After that, we'll explore the science of taxonomy and its hierarchy. And to finish up, we'll see how it all works with some examples you already know. Okay, first up, a world of life. The sheer variety of life on Earth, what we call biodiversity, is just incredible. But for scientists, all this variety creates a very real need for a standardized, globally accepted system to keep everything straight.
And this quote right here just hits the nail on the head. If we only used local names, science would be total chaos. Can you imagine the confusion? This is exactly why a universal system was needed. One official name for one organism that's recognized absolutely everywhere.
So, how did the scientific community actually solve this huge naming problem? Well, they did it by developing a clear, standardized, and totally rule-based process.
And that process is called nomenclature. It's literally the science of naming things. But, and this is super important, there's a critical prerequisite. You can't just name something. You first have to correctly describe it and identify it. Identification always comes before nomenclature. Now, to make sure everyone plays by the same rules, the scientific community created these official rulebooks. For plants, we have the ICBN, that's the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. And for animals, it's the ICZN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. These codes are the final word, making sure every valid name is totally unique. So what's really cool is the simple yet powerful system that's at the heart of all this. It's called binomial nomenclature, which just means a two-name system, and it was perfected by the brilliant biologist Carolus Linnaeus.
Let's take the mango as our example. Its scientific name is Mangifera indica. See the two parts? The first word, Mangifera, is the genus, or the generic name. The second word, indica, is the specific epithet. Here's the key. You need both of them together to get the unique scientific name for that species. Okay, now for anyone studying for exams like NEET, this slide is absolute gold. You have to know these 4 universal rules. First, the names are in Latin and written in italics. Second, it's a 2-part name, genus first, then the specific epithet. Third, if you're writing them by hand, you have to underline each word separately. And fourth, the genus name always starts with a capital letter, and the specific epithet always starts with a small letter. You have got to memorize these.
Now, sometimes you'll see an abbreviation after the name, like this, Lin. What's that about? Well, it's an author citation. It's telling us that Linnaeus was the very first person to describe and name this species. It's like adding a little signature for extra precision.
Okay, so we've given everything a unique name. That's step 1. What's the next logical step? Well, it's to organize all these named organisms into groups based on what they have in common. And this process is the heart of taxonomy. So taxonomy, as you can see here, isn't just about sorting things randomly. It's a formal science. It's actually built on 4 foundational steps. First, you characterize the organism, then you identify it, then you classify it, and finally, you give it a name, nomenclature. All of modern taxonomy rests on those 4 pillars.
All right, let's clear up a common point of confusion: taxonomy versus systematics. Systematics is the bigger, broader field. Think of it like this. Systematics includes everything taxonomy does, plus one critical element: the evolutionary relationships between organisms. So an easy way to remember it is systematics is basically taxonomy plus evolutionary history.
So how exactly are organisms classified? Well, they aren't just thrown into random boxes. They're arranged in this beautiful, nested, ordered system of categories, or taxa. We call it a hierarchy.
You can kind of think of it like a giant library, where books are organized onto shelves, in sections, on specific floors.
And here is that hierarchy, going from the most specific rank all the way to the most general. It starts with species, which group into a genus, then family, order, class, phylum, which we call division for plants, and finally, the broadest category, kingdom. A really helpful mnemonic to remember the order is keep pots clean or family gets sick. It's a simple trick to keep it all straight. Now this is the single most important principle of this entire hierarchy. As you move up the ladder from species to kingdom, the organisms in each group become more and more diverse, and they share fewer and fewer specific characteristics. For instance, all the cats in the cat family are way more similar to each other than all the animals in the entire animal kingdom are. Make sense, right?
Okay, I know this can feel a little abstract, so let's make it really concrete. Let's apply this whole hierarchical system to a few organisms that we all know.
This table is a fantastic summary, and it's a really key one to understand. Let's just trace the classification for humans to see how it works. Our genus is Homo, and we're in the family Hominidae. We belong to the order Primata, the class Mammalia, and the phylum Chordata. See how as you move from left to right, the groups get broader and more inclusive? The same logic applies to the housefly, mango, and wheat. This table just perfectly shows the whole system in action.
And to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this final, crucial idea. This whole system of classification, it isn't set in stone. It's actually dynamic. And why is that? Because our understanding of science is always evolving. As we get new tools like DNA sequencing, we get a much clearer picture of those evolutionary relationships, and sometimes we have to redraw the family tree. It's a great reminder that classification isn't just about putting labels on things. It's our ongoing hypothesis about the history of life itself.